Last night's DNC convention featured several prominent women from the Democratic Party, including Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and former Second Lady Jill Biden. And after a record number of women were voted into Congress in the shadow of the Me Too movement in 2018, Democrats are pushing for even more women to turn out this upcoming election. Joining me now with more on this is Stephanie Schriock. Stephanie is the president of Emily's List, an organization that helps pro-choice Democratic women get elected into office. Thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Great. Thank you for having me.
So, Stephanie, let's start first with Senator Kamala Harris. She will be speaking tonight. Her platform when running for president was thought of as one of the strongest for advancing women's rights. What are you hoping to see from her should she take office?
Well, I just have to say, Senator Harris is a great leader. We're so thrilled that she is on this ticket. And I really do appreciate the strength of the Biden-Harris ticket and the women's agenda that they have laid out already, along with the Democratic Party platform. I mean, this is a ticket that is really committed to advancing women's economic opportunities as well as ensuring reproductive freedom. And Senator Harris has always been a champion for those issues, and together they're going to really lead us into ensuring that women across this country have the opportunities they need and deserve for their families.
Yeah, and I should probably check myself. I mean, Elizabeth Warren also had a very strong record. Amy Klobuchar. I mean, what we saw in the lead up to this nomination is one of the most diverse group of candidates for a party nomination in history. And yet, Joe Biden's history on women's rights has sort of been spotty. On the one hand, he's been praised for introducing the Violence Against Women Act in 1990, but he has also been criticized for his handling of Anita Hill's testimony and has faced his own allegations of sexual misconduct, all of which he denies. What would you say to women who are on the fence about supporting Biden? Specifically, I guess, a lot of people still, remember the Anita Hill hearings and came away from that not encouraged.
Well, what I would say is something that you saw last night in Dr. Jill Biden, who shared so beautifully their partnership and a real understanding that Vice President Biden listens. He brings in people to have deep conversations about the issues that are facing this country and facing women. And yes, he's a champion of the Violence Against Women Act. And you can see now this incredible real evolution over the years because he listens and he understands what women are going through. And that's what we are seeing in his agenda that the campaign has laid out that includes equal pay and reproductive freedom, which I'm very, very grateful for. And together with Senator Harris, I think we've got true champions, particularly at a time when Trump and the Republicans are dismantling, piece by piece, all of the protections, whether it's economic or healthcare, for women to succeed in this country.
Let me ask you about the former Second Lady, Dr. Jill Biden. She spoke last night at the convention. She joined CBS This Morning to talk about what she plans to do if she becomes a First Lady. I want to play a bit of that and talk to you about it.
I'm going to continue with the platforms and the issues that I've always worked on. Raising military families, working with educators and teachers, and working hard for free community college, and of course our cancer initiative that we started because that's not a Republican issue.
Will you continue?
Oh yes, I will continue teaching
in the classroom.
Yes,
You'll go every day.
I'm a teacher.
Yeah,
that's who I am.
How important is it for you and for women across the country, young girls who are sort of just looking up to people like Dr. Biden to know that, she may be First Lady of the United States if her husband is elected president, but she's going to continue doing what she was trained to do, which is to be a teacher. She's not going to give up her career, her job, just because her husband is president of the United States.
and I love this, right? This is so much of what we're fighting for at Emily's List all the time is we've got women who are doing great work. I just think it's phenomenal to think about having an educator in the role of First Lady. Again, we've had educators in the past, but someone who's so committed. Particularly in this environment. I mean, we're going to have, we do our work and we win this, and the Biden-Harris administration takes over. We are walking into huge crises that start, of course, with the coronavirus pandemic. And one of the aspects of that is what in the world are we doing with our schools and our kids and our students? And every school district in the country is dealing with this right now. They're all dealing with it differently because there's absolutely no leadership at the top. And to have somebody like Dr. Biden involved in those discussions as we were dealing with major crises, I think is really, really important. And then, of course, her work with veterans and families. I, too, am a daughter of a veteran, as she is. She is also a mother of a veteran. And I think that is such an important piece of work that we cannot forget in this country. I always worry that things slow down and we forget about the women and men who served and gave so much for this nation. And she will never let that be forgotten. And I love that about her.
We're also hearing from former Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton at the convention today. She garnered a lot of support from women during her 2016 presidential race, but struggled to get across the finish line. What kind of guidance do you think that she can offer the Biden-Harris team? What are you hoping to hear from her tonight?
I always like to remind everybody that if not for the Electoral College and if we had just a popular vote, we would have President Hillary Clinton today, where she won the popular vote by nearly 3 million votes. Hillary Clinton has always had a great understanding of the challenges of this nation, as has Joe Biden. And they've worked together and they know each other and they served together, both in the Senate as well in the Obama-Biden administration. And so I think tonight what you're going to hear from her is that, yes, this country has great challenges in front of us, but also we have great opportunity. And as long as we have the right leadership, we have the wrong leadership now, but the Biden-Harris team is the right leadership to get us through this time period. And she understands what's at stake in a very, very personal way.
So we've mentioned, obviously, Hillary Clinton, Dr. Biden, but what should Joe Biden and Kamala Harris be doing to reach more progressive voters who are younger, who may not be as enthusiastic about this ticket or about politics in general?
Yeah, I'm not sure I really agree with the premise of the lack of enthusiasm, because what we've seen with younger activists, younger voters, particularly in the last 4 years, they have taken to the streets in peaceful protests on gun safety, on climate, on the systemic racism that this country is facing. I am inspired every day by the energy of young people in this country who are taking this on. And I think they, more than anybody perhaps, understands the stakes of this election, because it is their entire future. Everything as it is at stake for their future. And so we got to continue to have conversations and bring their voices into the party. Part of what I loved about last night was the keynote address, where you saw the young rising stars of the Democratic Party coming together and sharing their views and their vision for the future of this nation. That's the Democratic Party rising up. And it's young, it's diverse, it's passionate. And I believe that they all understand the importance of this election. We just got to make sure that they all have access to voting, which is a whole nother conversation. And we're going to fight to ensure that everybody gets a ballot and has the ability to get that ballot counted.
I keep thinking to myself, I was just a little kid when Shirley Chisholm made a run for the highest office in the land, and I was still pretty much a kid when Geraldine Ferraro was a vice presidential nominee.
Me too.
But given that we've seen a record, a record number of women elected in 2018, are you encouraged about because it feels as if obviously the gap of time is getting shorter and more people are joining the political process. Although when you look at, for example, somebody like Senator Carol Moseley Braun, it was many years before we saw another a black woman, for example, in the United States Senate.
This is a journey that we are on. Emily's List has been doing the work of electing pro-choice Democratic women for 35 years. This is our anniversary year, as a matter of fact. And I think about the ebbs and flows of all of those years. And since 2016, we have had a sea change of women taking up and wanting to run for office. They are running. They are planning their runs. We've had over 55,000 women. Think about that. 55,000 women from all backgrounds, all races, all geographies saying, I got to do something. I got to figure out how to run, whether it's city council, school board, or Congress like we had in our historic numbers in 2018. They are stepping up, and it's not slowing down. In 2020, if you look at the best opportunities to pick up new House seats, if you look at the Democratic congressional campaigns, red to blue list, as they refer to it, nearly 80% of those best pickups are women that Emily's List has been part of recruiting and supporting as we move forward. Women, and it's women and women of color across this country, are stepping up to lead and run, and it is not a moment. It is finally that sea change. And to see Senator Kamala Harris on this ticket is so important, and a continuation of who we are, not just as a Democratic Party, but who we are as a nation. And seeing women rising up and coming in true equality is very, very powerful, and is going to change us for the better.
Stephanie, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. Really interesting. We really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anytime.